Welcome back to Hometown TCG, ladies and gentlemen. My name is John, and today we are doing something super fun. We're looking at a brand new Lexi build in this new meta, and dude, it's been kind of crazy because we're following the Discord. We're seeing what people are adding, what people are taking away, what they like, and it's kind of the Wild West right now. No one really knows exactly what to do, and some of these decks are just more difficult to build because you're having to balance around so many different kinds of cards at the same time, and it's super interesting. So today, we're going to get into a Lightning Lexi build. Sneak peek, we do have a Frost Lexi build coming up this week, but we're going to do Lightning first today, so I'm going to hop over to FabDB right now. And look up here. So, a couple different weapons you can play with it. You have a Voltaire build or the Death Dealer build are the main ones, and they're completely different decks. So, I'm going to run through Voltaire today, and I love this one. It's consistent, super go wide pressure that she can put out, and the damage really adds up. If your opponent can't block you on a certain turn, or if they can't disrupt you in some way, you can go off like crazy. So, I have fun with her. I'm going to look through the equipment first. Then we're going to go through the lightning cards, then the blues, and finally the rest of your cards to even it out. And then I'm going to talk about what I like from each card, what I think could change, what I'm looking at moving forward in V 1.1. All right, so moving to the equipment, Bullseye Bracers. This card, you're not using it a ton. I'll find games where I don't use it at all, but it does help you to go super wide on 3-of-a-kind turns, and against Frostbite tokens, it can be valuable to get one in to get off a second attack on a turn. So that's my main uses here. Sometimes I don't use it at all, and the Arcane Barrier is really nice on it, though. So that is a valuable part of it. I have not really tried out Mark of Lightning. That's the next thing I'm going to try in this version. But here we are, V1.0. I'm liking Bullseye Bracers. Findal Spring Tunic. This card is amazing at helping you get through on these go wide turns and countering the Frostbite tokens. It's going to be your main one, obviously. Heart of Ice is more against the defense reaction decks. And against Oldhim, I'll be honest, sometimes I feel like I want Tunic because to have that extra one pitch against the Frost can be really nice. But I still think Heart of Ice is probably the way to go. New Horizon is probably your most important equipment piece, though. It sets up everything in this with Voltaire, and having the multiple arsenal slots completely changes up your line of play. So if you haven't had a chance to experiment with New Horizon yet, or you're thinking about this deck and you're not sure, I say 100% proxy New Horizon, give it a chance before you decide if you want to use her or not, because this is a card that I really think you need to maximize Voltaire. And then Perch Grapplers, 99% of the time, it's just for the 2-block. The 2-block's great, and you don't need the Go Again from a Snapdragon Scalers. The Go Again from here would only be used in a situation where you have like 3-of-a-kinds going off, and you have all this extra pitch. Maybe you're playing Mark of Lightning at that point. And also, you probably have some snapshots or something like that where you can do 4 or 5 arrows sort of thing. But besides that, you just 2-block. Okay? So moving on to the lightning cards. This is the interesting part of the deck because you have to have these to be able to fuse and be able to activate her power. So I look at them similar to my blues. I want to make sure I have one in each hand. I don't want to get completely stocked up on them. But unlike a blue, a lot of them do have good abilities to where I'm fine with playing them if I have to. So I do like going more than the 75% that I normally say for a blue if you just want one blue a turn. So what I'm looking at here, instead of running 17 in a 60 card deck, I'm trying to run 21. I'm trying to be over 80% and feel pretty good about that. And then if my blues are lightning cards, you can even go higher than that. All right, so let's look at the lightning cards themselves. First one is Ball Lightning. I kind of go back and forth on this. It's the 0-block on it can be kind of rough at times. Honestly, it can be really rough. And unless you're going super wide, it's not that impactful. And it's kind of weird with your ability because you flip it over and you get Go Again. And then you have to make sure you're laying down your arrow next to go. And then you play Ball Lightning. But you want Ball Lightning's power to be active on your arrow. So it just doesn't quite work as well as you want it to. But on super wide turns, the three of a kind turns that I keep talking about, those are the times where you do want it. So I waffle back and forth. Bolt and Shot is amazing. It's a one cost 5 go again. That's all you need to know. And I'm not talking about that yet, though, because I'm on electric or lightning cards. So I will come back to Bolt and Shot, but I love it. All right, more lightning cards. Heaven's Claws. This one's great. It's one of my favorite arsenal targets, the red one specifically, because you flip it over to get go again, and then you have a great attack, and then you can follow it up with 2 other arrow attacks, which is amazing. The Heaven's Claws blue, it's fine as an arsenal target as a 1 cost 3 go again. That's not great, but as far as a blue, that's fine. And what I love about it is they're 3 blocks. Only lightning 3 block cards, so just amazing to have. I guess Channel Thunderstep is, but that card's bad. Lightning Press, this is another one with no block, which can be rough. But the attack reaction on it it's an instant, but it's pretty much an attack reaction. Is so valuable when you have hit effects. So I'm a fan of that. Pulse of Oldhaven is amazing for 0+4, and the ability Flip is really cool. Shock Striker is just like Heaven's Claws, except it doesn't block 2, and it has this ability on it to deal 1 extra damage. And this is one, you don't use it a lot, but if you do have a ton of extra pitch, you can make it happen, and it's something. Okay. Blink. Blink's cool. Blink, it's good against Prism, obviously. This can combo with Tome of Fyendal as well. I'm not running it in this build, but it is a consideration to have. Being a blue is great. And what I like doing with this a lot of times is I'll flip it over in my arsenal to give myself go again. And I'll do a 3 attack turn. And maybe my last lightning card, instead of arsenaling it, I use it because then on the following turn, I can use Blink from the arsenal to give it's like I flip it over again for go again. So that's a lot of times how I like to use it. And it's become pretty valuable for that reason. Okay. Lightning Surge. This is just in here as an extra blue lightning card because there weren't many options. And I wanted to fill up both slots, especially when going over 60. Electrify is really great. Replaces itself. Hit effective 1 damage is fine, but the replace itself and giving you go again is really what's good there. Okay, and then if I'm just going to continue on with my blues, so you can see I have some ice cards in here. They give the Frostbite token, which is great, but I'm not trying to fuse ice at all. I have them because they're effects. So Blizzard, there's not much that needs to be said about this. This card's incredible against a mirror match or any other aggro decks. Completely slows them down and can throw them off their game plan, especially when you're playing a lightning build. They don't expect you to have a blizzard coming out. Okay. Some of these other ones, Polar Blast. This is another one that is a side deck card against control. I'm trying out Polar Blast to give the dominate there with Heart of Ice. So that's my strategy at this point to deal with some of these control decks to slow down their defense reactions. Right there. And then that with giving them a Frostbite token, because you flip it over before using it, that's what really helps you get there. Winter's Bite is another one that you flip it over for the Frostbite token, and you can get rid of a card from their hand that's a card they can't defend with, or if you see that your opponent is not blocking you at all and they have a 5-card hand, that probably means they need every one of those cards, and that's a time to use this. So it has some great versatility there. And just as a blue, I think it's more valuable than some other blues. And then I said the Lightning Surge and Headshot. I just needed 1 extra blue in my deck to maintain that 75% when I'm pulling out Blizzard against certain decks. So that's what that is. I need 1 extra blue. And it was an arrow that can do 4 damage. So I was like, yeah. Okay. So that's our elemental stuff. We're going to go through everything else in here now. I already started talking about Bolt and Shot. It's one of my favorite cards. And the reload on it can be super valuable too. That's the thing that I don't think people talk about enough, because 1 cost 5 go again is sweet. But the hit effect on it, if you haven't used your ability yet that turn to go lightning or ice, you put this thing, you put one of those lightning ice cards in your arsenal after Bolt and Shot, and you get that effect on it. which is unbelievable. Additionally, it can give you another attack on a 3 of a kind turn. All right, Buzzbolt. This card on the super wide turns is good. If not, it's a 1 cost 5 that can maybe be a 6 if you fuse it as well. So it has some ability there. It combos well with Ball Lightning, which is great to see. So it can have some combo potential to put you over the top on some certain turns. But it's not like incredibly impactful. Dazzling Crescendo. This is another one that you can give it go again when it starts in your arsenal. So you can, it's one of the few arrows you're okay arsenaling at the end of your turn. Also, it works great if you just want to give the +1 damage on it because you have the versatility there, or you can give it go again if you don't have the lightning card in hand. Endless Arrow is one of my favorite arrows. The hit effect here is so good. There's so many times where it represents an extra attack. It's an extra 4 damage if it hits, is what it's threatening a lot of times. So it kind of comes in for 8 damage here, which is sweet. If you have the go again, it can be like a 9 threatening if your opponent doesn't block it. Frazzle is similar to Buzzbolt. If you can hit a Ball Lightning, a Buzzbolt, and a Frazzle, and something else on your turn, you probably win. That's an amazing combo, but that's really hard to get that many off. Hamstring Shot. This card. So originally I was playing a hybrid Lexi build, and it's sometimes just hard to get things consistently in there. And then I looked at Hamstring Shot. And I'm like, this is kind of like a Blizzard Bolt. Maybe I'll just play Hamstring Shot so I don't have to worry about this stuff. And that's when I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to go into the straight lightning build right now. So here we are. Hamstring Shot is a Blizzard Bolt that can only be used on this attack, which is cool. Doesn't require any fusion, though. So I'm a fan. Seek and Destroy. Amazing as well. Originally, I was thinking, oh, this card is super good against control decks that are maybe arsenaling defense reactions and stuff like that, or against specific arsenal targets that people need. We're thinking Bloodrush Bellow, we're thinking Lumina Ascension and stuff like that. But there's so many times where your opponent wants to keep something, or they just need something in their arsenal at the end of the turn. You're just trying to find that timing for when to get it off. And I think that extra hit effect is more valuable than playing like a Weave Ice sort of thing that can give you Dominate, or Weave Lightning sort of thing. Snatch. Snatch is my second favorite card in the deck. Snatch is so good with a lightning card flipped over. Anytime you can give it go again is amazing. People were playing it in Chain because he had a lot of ways to give go again. It was super impactful there. But it's even more consistent here to give it go again. It's so good. Remorseless is great against control decks because of the defense reaction clause in it, and against these super aggro decks because they're playing a bunch of actions too on their turn and they don't want to have to block. So it's really good against everything. I love the card. 3 of a Kind is my favorite card in the deck. If you're playing Voltaire, this card is necessary. Because 1, it sets up all of these super wide turns that I've talked about. You could do 3 attacks without one, but you're going to need one if you want to do 4 attacks in a turn. So I love that. It also lets you it also allows you to be able to block out on your turn and still be able to do something, especially with a Tunic counter. If you have your arsenal set up already, you can block with 3 cards, Tunic for 3 of a Kind, and then still get 3 attacks off on your turn after you just blocked with 3 cards. So good. Light It Up is going to be your best arrow because the power on it's so good. Shuts down activated abilities. It could shut down their Tunic and stuff like that, but it's threatening an additional 4 damage on hit. Love this card. Love this card, and it's so easy to fuse because you're playing 20 plus lightning cards in every matchup. Take Cover. This card, good for 2 reasons. 1, you don't have a lot of defense, so having a 4 defense react in the deck is always good. You need it against your Katsus and stuff like that. It's good against Oldhim as well, even against the control deck there, because you don't want to have to slow down. It can preserve your life total while keeping you from slowing down to pay for this Frostbite token. I'm a fan of this card. And then the reload is great for turns where you just used a 6-card hand, you got rid of your arsenal because you really tried to go over the top there. You take cover, put something back in, you can still maintain using the threat of your ability each turn then. So, fan of that one. And, dude, I think that's it. That goes through every card. Sweet. Okay. So, overall, I really like where the deck is going. One thing I want to look at is things like Buzzbolt and your Frazzles, Ball Lightning. It's kind of hard to set these up. So strategy-wise, I'm looking now at either how can I really set these cards up to be great and go over the top on people, or is it best to just try to get a little more utility into the deck, whether it's going for a hybrid type deck with more of the ice stuff like that to slow them down, or if it's playing more defense reactions as I set up for some of these other turns, play it more mid-range style. I don't think that's the answer, but just questions I have on how I can get maximal value out of the Buzzbolt type thing. So that's something I'm going to be looking at the deck moving forward with, going into the next version of it. Things I don't necessarily like about the deck: it doesn't block great, and it needs a lot of cards to go off. You really have to focus on setting up for a big turn and getting around those Frostbite tokens, because the match against Lexi, if you can't, there's just turns where you really can't do much against her, and it's frustrating at times. So having more blues or some yellows in here is another thing that I could be looking at moving forward with the deck. But overall, I really like where it's at, and it's pretty consistent with being able to play out its hand each turn and doing exactly what I want to do. Um, Obviously, if people disrupt me, it's rough, but like the consistency of draws has been really nice in this deck. I love what I'm getting out of it, and I love the damage output of it. So I'm excited for this deck moving forward. I'm excited for what this deck can do in the meta. It's super powerful. Now, if you want to get more of a look into this deck itself and how I'm playing it, the sideboard guide, a general overview of it, we do have our sideboard guide as part of our Patreon, in our Discord and everything with everyone we're talking about. So if that's something you're interested in, if you'd like to just be able to pick up the deck and play it right away, yeah, feel free to join us. Our link's going to be in the description below. But either way, I encourage you to build this deck up, give it a try, take some concepts from it, because this is one of my favorite decks. I was not super high on Ranger, and even seeing Lexi, I had my doubts because I knew she didn't have the weapon. But playing this out, it's so much fun. Huge fan of it. Yeah, I think I'm excited for this one, but tomorrow you will be seeing the ice version of her as well. So be sure to check that one out. If you want any of the guides for any of our deck lists, check out our Patreon in the link below. And until next time, my name is John, and I'll see you guys.